So, welcome back to another episode. And wow, today I'm very excited because I get to talk about Ys's 25th anniversary. It's been 25 years since this series first began, and I can't believe it. So, what I thought I would do today is just talk about some of my memories playing the games in order. Now, obviously, there's so many games in this series that I cannot talk about every single port or all the PC games or every single Ys game that's ever been made. It's absolutely not possible, but I'm just going to talk about some of the games that I played and the memories of it. Now, this series is actually a very important series for me. It's one of the series that actually made me first come on YouTube, because nobody was talking about Ys, and I was like so frustrated. I was doing all these searches on YouTube, and I'm like, where's all the Ys videos? There was like nothing, and so I felt that I had to do something at that time, which felt very uncomfortable, come in front of a camera and make my own Ys videos. And I think, Ys really made me come onto YouTube, and also Phantasy Star also made me come onto YouTube, because nobody was really talking about it. And I really didn't want this series to be forgotten. And I'm so happy that it's still continued on, and it's actually gone stronger over the years as more Ys fans have come onto YouTube and, on forums and everywhere on the net, and just started talking about this series even more. And now everybody, quite literally knows about it. I love that. But I come from a time when that wasn't the case. So I gotta thank Falcom, first of all, for creating this amazing series. And it's been 25 years since I played the first game. Is that possible? I cannot believe it's been 25 years. And that first game for me was Ys on the Master System, and that was The Vanished Omens. Yeah, I thought the game was called Ys when I first saw it. I'm like, oh, it's called Ys, The Vanished Omens, and it was years later that I found out it's not called Ys. It wasn't until sometime later that I was corrected on that, but there was no internet back then, so I couldn't really look it up if I was an idiot or not. But now I absolutely know it is called Ys and not Ys. But I played the game and I loved it. And actually, in this game, you play as Adol Christian. This is the basic story of Ys, and you wash up on the shores of this place called Asteria. Now, and basically monsters are running amok and all this kinds of stuff, and obviously you join up with the local town and the local fortune teller to kind of solve what's going on, and that's book one. And book one is just this actual release. Book two came out later on, and then they combined them both for Ys books 1 and 2 on the Turbo CD. But I'll get to that one in a bit. But this game blew me away. It was overhead graphics, kind of like Zelda, but also with kind of Dragon Warrior-esque elements, in that you could actually kind of level up and you could buy weapons, get gold, and explore the land. And what was it though about Ys that I love so much? I was thinking about this when I was driving home today, and there's a lot of elements. I actually like bumping into the enemies. I know a lot of people don't like that. They like the idea of seeing the sword animation, which you do get later on in the series. But at first you didn't quite get that. You just bump into an enemy, and you had to kind of hit it on a certain angle, and that would actually kill it. I really loved that combat. I thought that was kind of a lot of fun. And also, I enjoyed the small world environment of Ys. I liked how compact everything was. And I felt like you really explored the land. So you'd run through one town to get, and through a field to get back to your original town. But there's so many things in that field that's going on. There's a cave to explore, a tree to explore, like a little lake in there to explore. And it's very rewarding to explore in the game. You can actually find quite a lot of hidden items, and I think anybody who's played the game quite a few times will know what I'm talking about when I say that, because they're around. There's so many hidden things within this small world. Also, if you get to a boss character, it's kind of like now, obviously, and you're having a hard time with it, just go level up. You can definitely beat that boss character. There's a few kind of translation things that are a little bit different. In the end boss of this game is called Dark Decht, and in the Turbo version it's Dark Fact. And also you're called Aaron the Wanderer, where in the actual version you're an Adol Christian type of thing. So that was some of the translation things. And back then on the Master System, man, they always got all the translations were terrible on that machine. Ys 1 on the Master System just blew my mind. I just loved it. That was my first time playing it, and it wasn't until some time later. I thought my time with Ys was over. I didn't know there was a book 2. I didn't really know anything like that. So I was walking past, it's called Radio Shack. There's these little electronic stores that used to be in Canada. and they're kind of like the source. But I was walking past this one, and there's a TurboGrafx kiosk. Okay, I was walking past it, and it was playing a video. And I'm like, oh, cool, look at this, the TurboGrafx, awesome. And I knew about the TurboGrafx coming out. And I saw this, they were advertising the CD-ROM system. And I was like, oh, wow, video games on CD, this is huge, this was a big deal. And I saw this game, and I'm like, I know that game, and it was Ys. And it was updated, the graphics were better, it had like anime cutscenes, like when you talk to a character, you'd actually see an anime, full screen version of that face on the screen, like actually moving its lips with real voice. I mean, honestly, back in the old days, this was a really huge deal. I couldn't believe that this was possible. It was like playing a anime game come to real life, like an anime to real life. I was like, that is awesome. I was so excited about it, and at that point, I had the TurboGrafx, and I bugged my parents for a little bit after that to see if that Christmas I could get the Turbo CD, which was a stupidly expensive device. And it got close to Christmas, and I have to pull out this. I found it. The 1991, the Electronic Gaming Monthly, 1991 Video Game Buyer's Guide. Really? And I tell you not did it for me was the Ys review in the back. And not many people talk about this. Here's the actual review that they gave. 8, 10, 9, 8. Good scores now? For a role-playing game, to get a score like that, and an action RPG adventure, I'd call it, to get a role-playing game like that, I mean, holy. And they were all saying the soundtrack was amazing, the cinemas were amazing, the game was amazing. I was like, wow. And I wanted to play Book 2 more than anything. I wanted to play that. So luckily enough, when I woke up Christmas morning, I got the goddamn Turbo CD. I couldn't believe it. Now the funny thing is, I hooked it all up, and I had some old stereo of mine, and I pulled it into the living room because we didn't have stereo speakers back then for our TVs, and I hooked the TurboGrafx, the Turbo CD at that point, right into the speakers, and I cranked it as loud as I could, and I put in Ys Books 1 and 2, and it started, and I sat there stunned, like absolutely stunned, as the opening cinema began, and the music played, and the music was like symphonic. It blew my mind, and it was blasting over the speakers. My parents were upstairs or something, they were probably shielding their ears. It was so intense, and I sat there, and it was like, remember that old Sega CD commercial where, they turn on the Sega CD and it's like blasting, all that light and stuff? That was me. That was me for the TurboGrafx CD. I was like, holy shit, I couldn't believe how fucking amazing it looked. Blew my mind, and it's the one time, you'll like this, if for anybody who watches the show quite a lot, how I always talk about my friend Andrew, the guy down the street that had everything. Well, there was this Christmas where he did not have everything. He came over to my place, and he had the Turbo Express, the TurboGrafx handheld, which is a very cool handheld. It was back then. It was a very cool handheld. Really nice screen on it. And he walks in, and there's Ys playing on the TV with the stereo blasting, just the opening. And he walks in, and he's like, oh, and he's showing me what he's got. And he had like Splatterhouse on this thing. It was awesome. And he was like mortified. He's like, what the hell? He's like, I got this, and you got this thing. It was the one Christmas where I won. The one Christmas where I won back then, and hey, we had a great time that afternoon. He sat down beside me, and we played. This is horrible. We played through Ys Books 1 in one sitting. We just sat down and just went right to the top of the Dorm Tower and finished the game. And something happened. Something unexpected was this huge, gigantic cinema in finishing Book 1. And yeah, God, it's been so many years. What happens at the end of Book 1 is that you actually go to the Land of Ys afterwards. And, oh my God, the cinema was so, jaw-dropping. Couldn't believe it. It was incredible stuff. And we couldn't believe what we were seeing. I can't stress that enough when we're walking around in a dungeon and we go talk to a character and an anime, as I say, anime face would come up and talk in real time. We were like, oh man, it was a very exciting thing. But he went home that day. He was like, he had a great time as well, I know that. And yeah, like, Ys Books 1 and 2, monumental, man. Monumental to me. It's such a beautiful game, such a great game. If you have never played Ys Books 1 and 2, I highly recommend it. Go on the Virtual Console, please download this game, spend the money, it is awesome, you'll have a great time. The soundtrack alone, it blows my mind still to this day. I will listen to Ys till I am dead on this planet because it is that good. So, anyways, please definitely check out Ys Books 1 and 2, you'll love that. Now, let's fast forward to the next Christmas. Yeah, like, people think I got games all throughout the year. I really didn't. It was during Christmases or birthdays. That's when I got games. So the next Christmas, I got Ys 3. I got Spriggan and Ys 3, and Ys 3 was interesting to me. I'd seen all the artwork for it and the screenshots, and I was like, it's a side view game. I'm like, wow. And also, guys, I did a review of the game, actually, so you can just check that out. It's out there, but I couldn't believe that it was a side view game. It was like Zelda 2, kind of, like going to side view. But it kept the RPG elements of, gaining experience, kind of gaining levels, if you want to call it, in the bar of your health and all that. I'm gaining money. And I played the game. The soundtrack was as good as Ys Books 1 and 2. The gameplay was very different. Because now you could jump. Before you just bump into enemies, but now you could actually jump. And that was different for me. But you know what? I really enjoyed the game. I really, Ys 3 is a very memorable game for myself. I really did enjoy it quite a lot, but very different than Ys Books 1 and 2. That's what the transition going from that to that was very, very tough. So.